I'm in the game. I'm in the game. Hello, I'm in the video with my daddy.
What is going on, everybody? So this week on Meet the Modeler, we're gonna have Ron Stewart on. To be honest, he's been on YouTube for quite a while, and I really don't know much about him either. So we're gonna get to know Ron a little bit today, and see how this goes. How we doing, Ron?
Well, good afternoon, Josh. I guess it's morning actually where you're at, though, isn't it?
Right. It's only 11 here. You're
Yep.
in the future.
Yeah, I'm in the future for you.
Yeah, right.
So,
So I guess my first question is how long have you been in the hobby?
I started out in this hobby in about roughly 1952 to 53. There wasn't hardly anything that you could get, in plastic kits at that time, hardly at all. I remember my very first model kit that I ever got. We were out in California visiting my aunt and uncle when for a family vacation in 1949, and my dad and I went to a hobby shop in Southgate, California, and he bought me a 32 Ford Roadster kit. And when I got it opened up, all it was a block of balsa wood and then some wire for the wheels to mount on. And you had to shape the balsa wood and then, go from there. And I don't think I'm sure I never got it built, but that was my very first model kit that I ever got.
So that was kind of like the Pinewood Derby car kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, just exactly like that.
Right.
So, and I know probably at that time there just wasn't, that much available in kits, but I can still remember that to this day. And, I'm 82 years old, but I still remember Dad buying that kit for me. So, and it was a hot rod, it was a 32 Ford Roadster.
So that dynamic, was he into the hobby, or was it just something he wanted you to do?
No, it just, him and I don't know why, but him and I had gone down to this hobby shop in Southgate, and I have no idea why, because I was only 9 years old at the time, but he bought me that 32 Ford Roadster kit. So, 49 was when there was a lot of those kinds of hot rods on the streets and stuff in California. So that was, I suppose I saw it and begged him to buy it, probably.
Right.
So
I get it. That's that's cool. So you've been in the hobby for a long time. What were after that kit? What were some of the kit? As we go along, do the kits get way better? Do they get crappy? Do they?
No, they got way better. Probably about 1955, something like that. There was, and I can't even remember what the company was. It might have been Monogram, but I wouldn't swear to it. But one of the companies came out, or a company came out with a 32 Ford Roadster, and it was a hot rod style. You couldn't build it as an antique. It was strictly a no fendered hot rod, and I don't even know where I got them. Whether the dime store here in Broken Bow might have had them or what, but that was actually my first plastic kit that I can really remember buying and building. And I did several of those because I played with them while I was building them. So I have one little driver figure left from one of those kits, but I don't have any of the kits anymore. So good morning, Todd. Or good afternoon.
So basically, what's your favorite modeling kit manufacturer then?
I think nowadays, the Revell ones are probably my favorite because they're 32 Ford coupes, the Roadsters, the Model A's. They're really detailed and, super nice kits to build. So I really think the Revells are about my very favorite right now.
No, I mean, that's cool. And you can kind of tell that on your channel that that's what you like to build because there's a lot of it. And
yeah.
Like racing stuff, right?
Yeah, you see a lot of that. That and the dirt race cars. I've been a fan and involved in circle track racing since in the late 50s, actually. So I build a lot of the monogram sprint cars. I love those kits. And you can actually get, so many good aftermarket decals and that for them that you can take any one of their basic kits and build just about anybody's car that you want to build. And so that's why I have built so many of the dirt track cars. So
yeah, because you do I don't know what they're called, but they're the ones that, like, when they're going around the corner, they like shift and they have that big like Z wing.
Yep.
It looks like a Z, but just upright instead of.
Yep. That's the sprint cars, and right. Those are one of my favorite builds. I have built probably. Oh, what do I have on? I think I've got like 25 or 30 of them in my display case that I've got in my big room. And because I started building them back when they very first came out with the first one. One of the very earliest ones was the Sammy Swindell #1 old Milwaukee sprint car. And that's one of the first ones that I built. And, like I said, I've built a slug of them since then. Just finished one here a couple of months ago of Sheldon Hoddenschild's sprint car. And his dad, who they called the Wild Child, I used to watch before Sheldon was even born. And now Sheldon's one of the top drivers in the World of Outlaws series. So I had to build one of his cars too. So that was the last one I built. And I do a lot of 50s and 60s style customs too. That's something I just absolutely love. And of course, that's what I grew up with. That was my era. So gotta laugh. Fred Henry's on here. He says Vicky's got him cleaning house, but he's listening. So
we were saying it was Fred's fault earlier because
yeah.
Problems, right? So now he gets to listen to all of it.
Yeah, he gets to listen to it, doesn't he? So,
Right. It's a good group of guys listening right now.
Oh, it's an awesome bunch.
Right. So you like I'm on the short leash today.
Yeah, I see that.
Wow. I don't need to know details, buddy. So Ron, what are you currently working on right now?
Well, I have what have I got? 4 builds, I think, on the bench at the moment. I'm working on the big rig build that Jeff at Jeff's Model Garage is one of the hosts for. And then I got into the race or small race of gentlemen's build that Paul, I can't think of his channel name right now, is hosting. And then I started my build for Chris Cortell's Celebration of Life build. Let's see. Oh, my NASCAR build that Jeff's Model Garage and Fred are hosting. So I think everything else I kind of put back in the box to wait until I get some of those done. I had several builds going that were not for group builds, and I got a little carried away with entering the group builds this year already. So, I got the eggplane build too. I just started that last Monday. So,
No,
sorry about that.
That's a lot of different stuff, right?
Yeah, I get kind of carried away. I've got a big bench, Josh. I've got a 4 foot by 8 foot workbench that I built when I was building the RC airplanes. And so that whole bench is just covered with stuff all the time. So I have showed the guys on my YouTube channel before a shot of it, just so they could see what kind of a mess that it's always in. And where I have a dedicated model room that nobody else bothers or come in, I can just leave stuff lay out all the time. So I never bother to clean stuff up or pick stuff up. So
this is my experience with it, but it seems like the bigger the table, you're still only working in a 4x4 section of it.
Oh yeah, I'm working. Right? Yeah, I'm working in about an 18-inch square area is where I'm working. Everything else is just all the way around it. So
right, and because like I have a 52-inch table by a 52-inch table out here.
Okay.
Like kitchen, it's an old kitchen table that we had like a long time ago, and I couldn't get anybody to buy it, so I just made up my hobby bench.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seems like I only like model in like a corner of it.
In that, yeah, just that one little spot. Okay. Sarah says she's got 27 models on the go.
And
wow.
You know what? She showed how she organizes all that. That is amazing how you 27 model kits on the go. So but keeping that all organized, like I would love to see the system that goes fully with that. That would be
Yeah, I wish she could do videos for us. I have seen, pictures of some of her builds that she's done.
Right.
She sent to Miguel and they showed him. Yeah, I would love to see some videos from her. So,
I don't disagree with that, but you know.
uh,
Yeah, right, Todd.
yeah, I'm sitting sideways in my easy chair. Okay,
Right.
Todd says his OCD would be off the charts.
Right.
uh,
So modeling tools. We'll start here.
okay.
What's some of your favorite stuff and you like to use?
Well, my modeling tools are pretty basic. Um, I've got my X-Acto knives. Um, I use a lot of the big fingernail file, or not files, but the fingernail uh, like emery boards that they came out
Oh,
with a few years ago. The ones that are pretty good sized. I use a lot of those. Of course, I've got my razor saw, um, a few things like that. So, but my tools are actually pretty basic. I don't have anything. I do have a Dremel tool that's I about wore out, but um, that's pretty much the extent of my tools, Josh. I just don't have much as far as all the fancy stuff that you can see on Amazon and the different hobby uh, places. I just never have bothered getting any of it because the old basic stuff works great for me.
and that's going
Yeah,
to be my question is, you know, do you I mean, you obviously use the basic stuff, but do you really do you see yourself ever going in that direction to make it easier for you?
probably not. um, I guess maybe I've learned, or maybe learned is not a good word, but I'm just so used to using the stuff that I've got. Um, I really don't see any need for anything any fancier. Um, I use uh, most of my paint jobs and that are rattle can paint jobs. So I do have a three old airbrushes, but I've never gotten a spray booth or anything like that set up down here in the shop. So the paint jobs that I have actually done with car paint, um, I go out in my big garage where I built my 1-to-1 cars and use my compressor, and I use a touch-up gun, and I have sprayed models that way, or quite a few models actually that way. But otherwise, it's just walk out the back door and spray on a coat of paint, and then come back in the shop and let it cure for a little bit. So that's that's just the way I do most of mine.
Okay, so I have a question on the touch up. I have one, and I'm always afraid to like use the thing because I mean car body, and I don't have one sitting here next to me, do I? Um, they're only like that big,
Uh
and then you're just gonna. I mean, is it like
huh.
is it like an airbrush where you like?
um,
And I'm learning how to use it too. So is it one of those things where it's kind of same as the airbrush? You got to like miscode it, or is it
well,
just flood the first thing?
no, you miscode it. Um, it's just like doing any kind of paint job, whether you do it with a spray can or with a touch up gun or with the airbrush. But yeah, I've got two uh, gravity feed touch up guns that I used all the time when I was doing custom motorcycle paint jobs for people, because I used to do that too. And so in the summertime when it's nice weather, or when it's warm out in the garage, it's really easy to, to use the touch-up gun out there. So, yeah, Hobby Barn says the touch-up gun is great for big scale models. So,
right.
Yep.
But there's a guy that used to be in one of the hangouts groups that I do every so often, and that's how he paints all his models, is with a touch-up. And I'm like, and they look freaking amazing, but it's like I don't have the knowledge to make that work for me, right?
Well, and it's just like anything else. The more you use it, the easier and better it feels to you. And I used to, like I say, I used to do custom motorcycles, like Gary Seeds does, and I did a lot of them. So I've got all that equipment out in the garage that I can use. And I've got a big 80-gallon air compressor out there that, I used when I was painting cars and everything. So that's all there when the weather permits. But most of the time I just use the spray cans. So
and we're gonna get into paint next, but
okay.
What's your favorite paint line? Since you've been in the hobby for so long, there's got to be some interesting ones in this conversation, because there's been a lot of different companies, right?
Man, yeah, there have been. And, the people that are on here nowadays, the ones that we're watching and that, are using all these splash paints and MCW and all that kind of stuff. And I have never had any of that to use. So in the small cans, the most elaborate that I ever had was House of Color many years ago came out with a line of small cans to use for models. And that's the most elaborate paint that I have ever had. I used to use testers, and back in the 60s and 70s, I used testers and Practa paints a lot. So now a lot of times it's Rust-Oleum or something like that, depending upon what I'm doing. But I did the last custom 50 Mercury that I did. I actually bought the Spastics flip-flop paint because I wanted to do a flip-flop paint job, try that. And so I shot that through my touch-up gun out in the garage. It was in the summertime, so that's what I used on it. But yeah, otherwise it's like, Krylon and Rust-Oleum and that kind of stuff. Although I did find one, crap, I can't think of the name of it now, but it came from Orscheln's tractor supply store, basically. That was a real good high gloss enamel, and I can't remember the brand of it now. So, and I used that on several and got just beautiful glossy paint jobs out of them. Didn't even have to clear coat them. They just came out gorgeous with this stuff. So I use a little bit of everything.
So I've seen a lot of your builds because I had to do the deep dive into your YouTube channel. Getting ready for this, but how is that buffing that Rust-Oleum stuff out?
I hardly ever have to. Usually the ones that I use Rust-Oleum on are like NASCAR builds, or builds that you want to simulate a paint job from, say, like out of the 70s or out of the 80s. And so I think I've done a couple that I've color sanded and buffed, which is not a problem. Rick Zink asked me if I'd ever used Duplicolor, and I have. My small scale build that I did in February for the small scale, that was painted with Duplicolor. So I have used that too. But yeah, I as long as it gets cured good, you can color sand it and buff it and rub it out, with rubbing compound and buff it, just like any of the rest of them, Josh.
So basically, you're doing basic paint job. You're basically miscoating it. Now, are you setting it till it cures, or are you like going on with the next coat as soon as you can?
No, well, yeah. Usually, with most of those paints, they'll tell you, 5 to 10 minutes in between coats to let it tack.
Right.
And so you get your color to where you're happy with it, and then I will put one pretty heavy coat on for my last coat to kind of get my gloss, I guess you would say. So, and when you do that, you just got to be real careful that you don't put it on too heavy and get a run.
Right. It's that. I call it a controlled science experiment, but there's nothing controlled about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
It either works or
fails. Don't. Yep, that's right. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've from looking in the background there, you've got quite a big stash. How many kits do you have in your stash?
I think the last time we counted, there was about 200 of them. I'm not near as big as some of the guys, but most of the kits that are in my stash are kits that I bought when they were like $9.95. When they got above $10, I kind of quit buying them because I thought they were way too high priced. But I have added some. They came back out with they had the Model A Roadster. When they came out with that, I had to buy 2 or 3 of those, and I bought them at Hobby Lobby, and so I got them with their 40% discount coupons that they would put out, and so those cost me around $17, I think. And then I got the Model A kits when those came out, the Model A Coupe kit, when that came back out again. So I had to jump on those, but I pretty much don't buy kits anymore. I've got enough that there is no way I'm going to be able to get them all built. It's not going to happen. So and over the years, I went through my display room, or I call it my big room. My shop is down in my basement, in my furnace room, basically. And I have a big family room on the other side of the wall. And that has got all my built models and my stuff that I have collected, my pictures and all that kind of stuff that I've collected over the years. All my trophies that I won with my big cars. And I went through there the other day just for the fun of it, and I counted to see what I had on display over there. and I have 235 built models on display over there that I have built during the years. So, and I have no idea how many total models I've built. So, because when I was in Lincoln, Nebraska, down in the early 60s, I sold several of them that I built. And I also, when I moved from Lincoln back here to Broken Bow, I lost a bunch of them somewhere in the move. So, but that's what kind of what I've got on display that I have built over the years over there. So,
So, Ron, there's a question. What is magic paint? MAGIC? That's what he says.
I don't know. What is MAJIC? I don't know, Johnny. I have no idea what it is.
And you know, he probably spelt it wrong, so it's okay. I'm probably saying it wrong too. So there's a, you know, I'm
Well,
sure he'll
it's
ask
not.
it.
It's not anything I've ever used that I know of.
Right.
So
where are you located in the U.S.? You're in the central, right? Right.
Yep. I am almost dead center of the United States. I think Kearney, Nebraska is considered central, or the very central part of the United States from the East Coast to the West Coast. And I am just about 70 miles north and just a little bit west of Kearney. So I always claimed that we were in the center part of the United States, but I don't think we're quite there. So, but yeah, I'm a long ways out here.
So paint from Tractor Supply.
Uh-huh.
That's what Johnny said, or what he meant.
Oh, okay. Let me go grab one of them cans and see what that is. Hang on just a sec.
Okay. Sorry, man. I'm sure that's how it's spelled.
Okay. I'm back. Put the audio back on. It is Van Sickle, which is actually a major paint company, is what it is. And there it's called super premium. I don't know.
Yeah, it shows up.
Yeah, it kind of shows up. But this stuff will put you on a beautiful glossy paint job. It looks like you've got clear coat on it, and you don't have to use clear coat on it at all. So, and it is an enamel, so you've always got to wait, quite a long time for it to cure out before you can do anything with it. I finally got a food dehydrator so that I can cure my paints out quicker, but and I haven't used it yet. My wife picked it up at a garage sale and I haven't even tried it yet. Got to do that one of these days. But yeah, this I did a I don't know if any of the guys remembered or the people remembered or not, but I did a Mustang, Shelby Mustang for I think it was James Morris's tribute build or whatever they called it, and I painted it with the red with that Van Sickle, and man, that paint job looked like it was a mile deep, and it never had any clear coat on it or anything. So
that's cool.
It's pretty good stuff.
That's a good tip, right? Yep. I mean, All right, so basically you're in Nebraska. I want to know what the modeling scene is there. That's kind of what I
Okay.
was trying to get to.
The modeling scene where I'm at is nothing. I'm in a town of about 4,000 people, and I have nobody else in this town that builds models with me or anything. So, and the closest hobby shop I have, there's a hobby town in Grand Island, Nebraska, which is 80 some miles away, and then there's a Hobby Lobby in Kearney, which is 70 some miles away. So those are my only two places that I have available. Now, there's quite a few modelers, and I've got to meet them on YouTube. I've never met them in person, but there's quite a few modelers in the Omaha, Nebraska area. That's where Vince Weston and Terry Wilson, Miguel, that does
Well,
Hobby Works stuff.
He's in the process of moving. I don't.
Yeah,
know.
he's leaving. So, but all of them guys right now are down in the Omaha area, and I've never got to meet him. I just just on YouTube is all. So,
right. So I mean, it sounds like it's you got to travel a little bit. The show scene at all pretty cool?
No,
or
I have nothing like that. They had one down at Omaha, at Bellevue, Nebraska, which is part of Omaha. Just last, I guess it was almost 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was on Sunday. So
there's supposed to be an IPMS Nationals somewhere in that area. It happened a couple of years ago.
Yep, they do. And that's down right there. That's down there is where it's at. But that's like a little over 3-hour drive for me. And I
was thinking about that.
Yeah, well, and I considered going this year because I've never been to it, but Vincent had asked me to come, and and I thought it would be awesome to get to go, but I just decided I didn't want to drive 6 hours to go see that show, so I didn't go, but I probably should have. My wife told me, she says, this may be your last chance, but I didn't do it. So, but that's the closest one, that we've had. So, or the closest one I have. So, okay. Is there anything subject?
There's a couple questions that I haven't highlighted. We'll go over them here in a minute. But right. No, I'll get to them here in a minute. Now you said did you live on the West Coast at one point? Did I hear that right in a video or?
No, the only place I have ever, whoops, I bumped a switch. No, the only place I've ever lived was here in Broken Bow. And then I was down at Lincoln, Nebraska, from 59 until late 66. I lived in Lincoln, and that's the only two places I ever lived. We were out to California on a family vacation when Dad bought me that first kit. So that was where we were at. We had had a cousin and an aunt and uncle that lived out in Southgate, California, and we were out visiting them. So
Oh,
that
maybe that's
was,
what I misunderstood then. Maybe that's
yeah,
what I misunderstood. Okay.
yep.
Okay. That's cool. All right. So, does Ron have a preferred kit manufacturer?
Oh, wow. Um, well, not really. Um, but my favorite for the hot rod stuff is the Revell kits. Um, they are, in my opinion, the nicest made and nicest detailed ones. So when I first started building the hot rods, um, I basically built all AMT stuff because they were the first ones to come out with the 32 Roadster and the 32 Coupe. So I built a lot of those over the years, but Revell is probably my favorite for those now. And I have never built one of the like Tamiya or something like that. They're really high class detailed ones. I've never built one of those yet. So
I understand that because Mia stuff. I've done one. It's the little military thing that I did a long time ago, and that thing was absolutely awesome to build. I'd probably do it differently now, but
uh-huh. Well,
right.
I actually have two Tamiya kits in my stash to build someday. I've got Ferrari that is really looks detailed to me, and then I've got the Toyota uh, race car to do, and I've never opened up either one of them to do them yet, and I've had them for probably, I don't know, I bet I've had them for 3 years. A friend of mine gave them to me, so, and I've never gotten brave enough to start on them yet. They look to me like they're going to be a project that's going to take me, several months to do. So that's I've never tried one of them, and I have a master grade Gundam up here on the shelf that a guy gave me. That's never been opened or anything, and I know I'll never do that. I need to get it to somebody that is into the Gundams. So
You know what? Gundams are. You know how you get that modeling burnout, and you just need something quick, easy, not much effort. That's what I use Gundams for.
oh, do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I use Gundams for because they're really simple to put together. I mean, you can go through and paint them, right?
Uh-huh.
It's you can just do the bare minimum and the model looks great. Gundams are a real burnout. True, like it really gets me going again.
Get you going again.
Right. It's because sometimes you need that. You need that just I can get this done right now and get my mojo back on track.
Uh-huh. Well, I was down last Saturday. I had to take my wife down to Lincoln, Nebraska to a baby shower. And so while she was at that, I got to go hit a couple of hobby shops there in Lincoln. And I got into one. They have two hobby towns in Lincoln. One's just a small one, but they've got one out on the south side of Lincoln that is huge. I've never been in a hobby shop that big before. And they have a huge section of Gundams. They've got radio controlled airplanes. They've got trains. And then, of course, the model car kits. They've got a big Lego display. But I was talking to a couple guys that were buying Gundam kits and just kind of visiting with them, picking their brain. And I told one of the guys that I had a master grade Gundam at home in my stash, and he says, I've never tried to build one of them yet. So I don't know if the master grade is really a major build or not. So
If you look on the box, it depends on the box, right? If it's
uh-huh.
if it's a big friggin' box, there could be
Yeah,
300 pieces in there
it's a
easily,
big box. It
right?
is a big box.
Or or it could be like 50 pieces on some of the smaller ones. It just depends on, and it'll say on there how many pieces are in it too.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, yeah, there's some Gundam pages. Like there's one here in Oregon that is, you can see some pretty cool stuff on it.
Well, I know Dan over at Munchkin Modeling Man loves to build them.
Right.
He's got such a display of them. It's unreal. So uh,
So Johnny asked, "Is there a subject Ron will not build?" And I think he answered that. But you know,
well, I have never done any figures, which is kind of sad, especially after watching Chris Cortell do some of his. Um, and I haven't done hardly any military. I have done uh, the 148 scale airplanes. Back when the Black Sheep Squadron was on TV, I got hooked on doing the World War II airplanes. And I built probably, I don't know, I think I built about 15 of them. And then that was it. I was just kind of tired of doing it. And so I quit. So I've got probably, well, I'll bet I've got at least 15 to 20 148 scale uh, airplanes, World War II airplanes, and a couple of very early jets in my stash also. Um, and I'll probably never get back to them. I started a B-17 bomber in 148 scale years and years ago. And it's just kind of all in the box in, parts and pieces. So it might get finished. Charlie Mack's been on my case about finishing it more than once, but um, it may get someday. Who knows? But mostly I just do cars. So
yeah, okay. That, well, I mean, it's okay. You know, I mean, everybody's got their process. Not everybody's like Jeff from Model Car Garage, who's got ferrets to build all his
yeah.
not everybody has a workforce.
Excuse me.
Right.
Yep.
So we've been on about an hour. It's been about 50 minutes. Did you have any questions for me? Because I mean, we covered a lot already.
Yeah. Yeah, I got one question. How did you decide to start doing this, Josh, where you interviewed people?
Okay, so I was on a podcast with Mark and Gordon, and some of the live videos from that are on the channel, in the playlist. I started that, and we got probably 3 years out of that, 2 years out of that, something like that.
Okay.
On the last, what do you call the last year that we did it? That Black Friday, I bought this StreamYard service. I spent the $10 a month. Wait a minute.
Somebody say something?
Josh, that's why nothing gets finished by Jeff. Well, yeah, they gotta put it together to destroy it. Come on. Right? Yeah, so basically I had the program, we were going to start using it, and then we were going to take a break, and then they decided that we weren't going to come back. So I was paying for this and it was just sitting. I wasn't doing anything with it. And there's a couple times on the podcast where I just interviewed people. And I thought it went really, 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 really well. And I thought maybe this will work. And it just happened that I started it like February before COVID.
Okay.
Like COVID hadn't quite kicked off yet. So I had probably about 10, 15 people lined up, and I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to go. Right. And then it slowly, like, everybody started to have webcams, microphones, because everybody was working from home or kids were doing school online. So it kind of, that's kind of how it kicked off. It's, and when I first started this, I didn't know how well this was going to work. And everybody loves this. So
yeah. Yeah, it's really pretty cool, I think. So you really get to find out more stuff about people. And I did miss last Saturdays because I was traveling, but it's been very enjoyable.
It's a good episode last week. This is the part that I like about this. You get to meet them, but then here's the negative side of that coin. I introduce you to people. Now you need to sub them, hit the like button. That didn't really happen last week, and I'm not sure why. But that was kind of my negative for last week is, I'm trying to bring people out so they can grow too, and it didn't really happen all that well. At least that's what I've heard.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad you're doing it.
Yeah, thanks. As long as everybody will come on, there's going to be a little twist to it like the end of May. I'm going to take summer off again because I have a 10-year-old. So I have to do dad stuff when it's nice. So, Brian, the answer to that is yes, about 5.
Okay.
That I know of. So that's kind of why I say that. There's like 400 people or something like that. 400 people watched the video. But not a lot of people.
Come here. Come on.
Right.
Come here.
Oh,
there
yeah.
we go.
Sure.
There.
A little bit.
I just had a visitor show up. Here.
Nice.
Say hi, Tybo. I thought I had the door shut so he couldn't get in here to get to me. It's almost time for his afternoon treat, so I'm surprised he's not barking. You want down? You can't get on the computer. There we go.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true, but it's still still a process, right?
Yeah.
But like I was saying, that's kind of how this all kind of kicked off. It was based off of a podcast first.
That's like cool.
I've had Mark on. I never got a chance to get Gordon on here. But I would love to get that guy on here too, because he's kind of like yourself. I don't think he's quite your age, but he's in his 60s, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think
doing all kinds of stuff like military style.
I don't think anybody's quite my age.
I don't know, Rick. it grows every week. So I'm working the process, man, at this point. Keep doing. Yeah. So
Food involved.
right. I'm not sure what Fred's talking about there. What? Oh, okay.
I missed out on most of the comments over here, darn it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the guy I need to get on here too, is Butch. He's got an interesting channel.
Yep, that would be great.
But yeah, it's all a process, right? I think two numbers change at will.
Well,
You know what? And it probably true. That it's probably true. Did you have any other questions for me?
I don't think so, Josh. I think this has been a great day. So I've enjoyed it very much. I really want to thank you a lot for having me on here. It was fun. So.
Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of the model car stuff, but that's not all that you do too either. It's right. You do a bunch of different stuff, right?
Yeah, I just can't seem to settle on one serious hobby. I don't know why. Because over the years I've done a little bit of everything. I built and flew, RC airplanes for years and years. I got into the kiting. Oh my God, almost 30 years ago.
Like flying kite? Is that what we're talking about? Okay.
Yep, flying kites. Yeah, I've got a couple of kites that are just about 100 foot long. So, I got really stupid on that. I've built the hot rods and custom cars over the years. I've still got both of my 32 Fords. I've got a 3-window coupe and a roadster. So I've been into the big cars, been into motorcycling. I've still got my big highway bike sitting out here in the garage, which I think I might have put a couple 100 miles on it last summer was all. And I don't know if that's going to even happen this summer, but I've got way too many hobbies. That's for sure. So, but I've sure had a good time. I've had a great time of my life. So, and I'm not about ready to give up yet.
Yeah, see, Brian says flying RCs is something I've always wanted to try.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just an awesome hobby also. When I first started flying RCs, you bought a box of balsa wood and totally built your own airplane. So
have you done the what do they call it, the RC speed challenge tournaments or whatever they're like? Basically it's a course that these planes just fly around in. It's like NASCAR.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, I've never tried any of that. My RC flying was just strictly for my entertainment. So, just for fun stuff. I never entered any of the contests or anything. So,
yeah. But, see, in the state I live in, the national tournament used to start here in Oregon or it ended here in Oregon. I was a kid when it happened in the 80s.
Okay.
This, like, it's acres wide. It used to just be out in the middle of nowhere, but they took like 10 posts and they just stuck them in the air like 300 feet in the air, like crazy high.
Yeah, that's pylon racing. That
Right.
yeah, that is pylon racing, and you got to be pretty talented to do that. So
Watch some of these RC planes just like hit a post and just
oh
go
yeah,
boom.
yep.
You know,
Uh, yeah, Simi says it's an expensive hobby when it crashes. So
right? No, like you disintegrate everything because they're going who knows how fast, but they're moving. For an
okay,
RC plane, they're
Rich
moving.
Richard's got a question there. He says, "How tidy is his work area?" And I
Yeah.
don't know if he's talking about me or not. But if you're
Well,
talking about me, Richard, my work area is not tidy at all. It's total chaos all the time. So,
and mine's a disaster. So you know, I
yeah, there's quite a few guys on here that are into the RC too. Fred said he raced RC cars for a while. That's one thing I never did get into was the RC cars.
well, there's all kinds of different categories in that now too.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I know growing up there used to be what do they call them? The Radio Shack cars.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I got a
those
couple
things
of
were
those.
little doom buggies and stuff. Those things were fun.
Yep, they
I
were.
think I blew more of them up and than anything. But
Well, I went to my wife and I went to a Rod and Custom Americruise show down in Lincoln a number of years ago, and the RC club down there put on a display with quarter scale sprint cars, and they were racing on a dirt track that they set up out there at the car show. And I told my wife, I says, it's a good thing that there's none of those close to Broken Bow because I would have been into that full bore too. So that
yeah, those RC cars, they still work to this day. They're like, unless you like destroyed them like I did as a kid, but if you took care of them, those things lasted forever.
yep.
You raced what? You raced a 1/8 scale road course. Okay.
Oh, there he is. Oh, Fred. Okay. Yeah, 1/8 scale was real popular. So
A serpent.
oops.
I'm not sure where he's going with that. That's cool. Yeah, I mean it's the whole RC thing. It's crazy how the modeling scene in RC it's in the same hobby shop, but it's like it's crazy how they kind of interact a little bit, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, hi, puppy.
Well, Ron, was there anything else you wanted to bring up?
I don't think.
Most of your hobbies, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think so, Josh. I think I'm pretty well. I think I'm pretty well talked out.
Right. Well, like I said, if you don't have any other questions, I think I'm going to end this.
Okay.
And
I do.
Yeah.
I do want to thank you again very, very much. It's been a lot of fun. I was really worried about doing this, and it's been a great time. So thanks a lot.
Right. Once we got the technology part of it figured out.
Yeah.
Right?
I told you I'm not very technical.
And we got it worked out, right?
Yep, we got her.
That's that whole thing about, like I send the link 30 minutes before. So
that was a good idea.
I do that every week.
That was a good idea. So yeah, everybody over in the comment section there, happy Easter to you, and thanks for joining us.
So don't everybody leave real quick. I'm gonna have an announcement at the end. But thank you, Ron, for coming on. I'm glad we were able to make this work today. But I will talk to you in a couple minutes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Josh.
All right, everybody. So next Friday, I'm having a product sponsor come on, and it's going to be on airbrush paint. Pretty cool little setup. I have to do it on Friday because they're from Australia. So it's like 6 o'clock my time. So it'll be an hour after Fred goes live. But we're going to be finding out about this company, kind of the Australia scene. It's a Australian modeler also. I think that's even his channel name. But next Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. my time on the West Coast. So you guys will have to tune in. Hopefully I have some good news. I did use some of their paint, so I wasn't going to say who it is, but yes, that is the company name. So like I said, next Friday night. So I will see you guys then. All right. See you guys next week.